Discover the incredible truth. 8 hours after her arrival in Indonesia, a hidden horror unleashed. Sarah took a deep breath as she stepped off the plane, the aroma of spices and the sound of laughter washing over her like a warm embrace. Here in Bali, she was ready to make a difference. With her daughter's heartfelt letters tucked neatly in her bag, she felt a surge of hope swelling in her chest. Each word from her little girl reminded her why she left home: to help others, to push through the economic struggles that felt like a chain around her spirit. This was her chance to break free, to be more than just a single mother or a veteran. She was ready to be a hero, but just 8 hours later, that hope was crushed under the weight of despair. The ground shook violently, ripping apart the vibrant facade of Bali's paradise. Sarah raced outside, her heart pounding in her chest, and the jubilant atmosphere was replaced with chaos. Buildings crumbled, families screamed, and the world turned dark as cracks spread like veins through the earth. It felt like something out of a nightmare. She pushed through the madness, every instinct from her military training kicking in, but nothing could prepare her for the reality she was about to face. In the aftermath, she met Dewey, a fierce local leader who quickly became her ally. Dewey's eyes reflected years of struggle and survival, but mistrust lingered behind them when she looked at Sarah. To the locals, Sarah wasn't a savior. She was just a foreigner, an outsider in a crisis they wanted to navigate on their own. The whispered doubts and fearful glances stung. She understood the big disconnect, but fighting against it felt like striking mountains with her bare hands. Days turned into a blur of rubble and grief. She started to forge connections with some of the families. She listened to their stories, feasting on their vibrant expressions of resilience amidst the despair. Yet, each smile was interlaced with a profound tension, a distance she longed to bridge. Day by day, her heart grew heavier as she witnessed the profound scars the earthquake left not only on the land but in the souls of those still standing. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. One night, as the sun dipped below the horizon, bathing the landscape in orange hues, Sarah stumbled across a family she shared a bond with during relief efforts. They welcomed her into their makeshift home. As they clasped hands, laughter broke through the layers of sadness. She felt a flicker of hope igniting. But just as warmth enveloped them, a shocking revelation struck. The family's matriarch revealed that she had once studied with Sarah's brother in America, the same brother Sarah lost years ago. The connection rattled her to her core, the lines of her identity blurring under the weight of fate. Standing on the edge of her purpose, Sarah was left grappling with who she was beyond the borders she had crossed. Could the bridges she built mean more than just aid? And could the relationships forged here redefine what it truly meant to be a hero in a world desperate for healing? As darkness loomed, she knew the most significant questions awaited her next steps, each one punctuated with the heartbeat of an island fighting for survival. What lay ahead felt monumental, a journey still unwritten, hungering for resolution as the chaos continued to surround her. The next morning, Sarah awoke to the soft murmur of voices outside. Sunlight filtered through the tattered tarps that served as walls for the makeshift shelter. She rubbed her eyes and took a moment to breathe in the musk of damp earth and wood smoke. Outside, the rhythm of life resumed, albeit with a fragility that reminded her of the earthquake's harsh intrusion. As she stepped out, the scenes around her were tinged with resilience. Families worked together, sorting through what was left of their possessions, and children played with fragments of their earlier lives, turning rubble into makeshift toys. But in their laughter was a thin layer of tension, a reminder of the uncertainty that lingered over their future. "Dewey," Sarah called, her voice carrying over the chatter. The local leader turned, a splash of bright yellow in her traditional attire contrasting sharply with the muted tones of the damaged surroundings. Dewey waved Sarah over, her expression one of resolve mixed with an unspoken worry. "We need more supplies," Dewey said, her voice steady yet urgent. "Food, water, medicine. The community is gathering at the old clinic today to discuss what's next. Sarah nodded, her heart quickening at the thought of mobilizing the aid she so desperately wanted to give. This was no longer just about her mission or her daughter's hope. It was about these people, strangers who had become family. I can help. We can reach out to local charities. Dewey shook her head. They are overwhelmed. This is our fight, Sarah. Those of you who came to help are welcome, but we need to lead. Her words struck a chord deep within Sarah. She wanted to be part of this battle, to stand shoulder to shoulder with them. But could she ever truly belong? Still, her spirit surged with determination. Then let us lead together. Let me show them I'm here, not just as a foreigner or a savior, but as someone who cares. The day unfolded with a pulsing energy. With Dewey by her side, they rallied locals and gathered stories. Each tale was woven with hardship, but threaded with unyielding hope. Sarah learned of a grandmother who had lost everything, but found solace in the laughter of her grandchildren. She heard about youth groups that transformed sorrow into murals, showcasing the beauty and depth of their culture even as they faced an uncertain future. The community came alive with ideas bubbling to the surface. They formed teams to map out resources and identify the most urgent needs. Each exchange revealed the strength buried beneath their wounds. Just as Sarah felt a sense of belonging solidifying, the atmosphere shifted. News spread like wildfire that another aftershock had struck, less powerful but enough to rattle nerves. People jostled into a frenzied motion. In an instant, Sarah's body tensed, her military instincts taking charge. "Stay calm," she shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. Once more, she grappled with the competing feelings, an outsider yearning to help, yet all too aware of how fragile trust still was. As the tremors faded, faces grew pale. Dewey approached Sarah, concern etched across her brow. "What if it happens again? What if—" "Listen," Sarah interrupted, kneeling to meet Dewey's gaze. "We will prepare. We can't control nature, but we can control how we respond." In that moment, a realization settled over Sarah. Strength wasn't just about providing aid. It was about fostering unity and resilience in the face of fear. But deep down, the question still lingered. How far would this community go to accept her? And what sacrifices would they all need to make to heal together? Just as Sarah began to feel the threads of acceptance weaving around her, a shadow of doubt slipped into her mind. Would the bonds they formed hold strong enough to face the next storm, or would the cracks begin to show once more? As the sun dipped below the horizon, promising another chaotic night, Sarah knew the real journey was just beginning. One step away from a truth she never expected to encounter again. What lay ahead would test her bonds with Dewey and the family she grew close to. Would she find the courage to endure their trials, or would she turn back when faced with her own fears? The sun was just peeking over the horizon, casting a soft glow that looked almost hopeful against the backdrop of destruction. Sarah stirred from her dreams, the previous day's chaos still clinging to her like a heavy fog. She climbed out of her makeshift bed, rubbing her neck, and stretched as her body protested. It would be another long day. Outside, the atmosphere was tense yet hopeful. Many were already gathered, eyes wide with uncertainty, but cheeks slightly raised at the corners, betraying their resilience. Dewey was at the forefront again, calling for volunteers. Sarah felt a jolt of purpose surge through her, and she made her way to the crowd, eager to throw herself into the mix. "Today, we will map out a plan for food and shelter," Dewey announced, her voice steady even as her eyes flickered with worry. "But we can't do this without each of you. We need everyone's ideas, your voices." At that moment, Sarah caught sight of a young boy pulling at his mother's shirt, his small eyes darting around the crowd. She could see him gripping a handful of dirt, as if to ground himself against the unpredictability of the world around him. It struck her. Each of these individuals had unique stories, and together they formed a tapestry woven of pain, loss, and a longing for normalcy. As the meeting progressed, people shared their ideas and fears. Sarah stood with Dewey, watching as the community sparked to life, voices cross-talking, laughter breaking through the tears. But the emotional waves were like a pendulum, swinging from hope to horror almost effortlessly. Sarah felt the weight of belonging with each shared insight. But there was still an invisible barrier. Could they truly accept her? Suddenly, Another tremor swept through the ground, tightening her thoughts sideways. A collective gasp rose from the group, nerves frayed tighter than before. The boy from earlier dropped the dirt, reaching for his mother's hand, and that simple gesture tugged at Sarah's heart. "Stay still," Dewey shouted over the rising commotion. "Just breathe." The tremors lessened after a moment, but that temporary calm wasn't enough to erase the unease in the air. Sarah could see the tension coiling, faces paler than before. Yet, beyond the fear, she also sensed the stubborn spirit within them rising. They had weathered storms before, both literal and metaphorical. "Let us channel this energy into action," Sarah called, stepping forward. "We can set up a support group right now, a safe space to talk through this fear." She turned to Dewey, whose surprised expression slowly morphed into a smile of pride mixed with gratitude. "Good idea," Dewey responded, rallying support from their neighbors, her leadership solidifying before Sarah's eyes. "Who will help?" Hands shot up, small voices chattering among themselves as new initiatives sparked. The boy watched curiously as Sarah approached him with a gentle smile, kneeling to match his height. "You did great holding on to your mom," she said softly, her heart breaking a little at his frightened expression. "You showed strength. Can you help us too?" He blinked, still uncertain, but slow nods emerged. There was a flicker of recognition in his eyes that illuminated something inside Sarah. Perhaps she was beginning to see a small sliver of acceptance as the outreach group formed. Sarah felt her confidence grow, yet deep in her heart, unease sparked anew. How many aftershocks would it take to truly fracture this community or her bond with them? Just then, a voice called out in the distance, "There's something we need to talk about." Heads swung around, curiosity mixed with dread. "What now?" someone muttered, the wave of uncertainty crashing back. Sarah's stomach churned as she turned towards the sound. What could it be this time? The crucial moment of truth was rushing toward them like an incoming tide. Would it be a revelation of fear or one of strength? The answer loomed closer, leaving her breathless in anticipation. A figure emerged from the edge of the gathering, silhouetted against the dawn's soft hues. It was Joko, the community's unofficial leader, his face drawn tight with worry. The uneasiness rippled through the crowd, whispers crackling like the dry leaves underfoot. Sarah's heart pounded. Whatever was coming, it was big. "Everyone, please." Joko raised his hands, pushing back the tumult. "We need to talk about the aftershocks and what we've discovered." His voice wavered, pulling them into a stillness that hung heavy in the air. "Discovered?" Dewey echoed, tension etched in her brow. Joko took a breath, gathering his thoughts as the silence pressed in. "It isn't just the tremors. We believe a larger quake is coming, a real threat." The words landed, cold and sharp. Gasps filled the air, slicing through the fragile atmosphere of hope they had all worked so hard to build. Sarah's vision blurred as fear surged within her. The boy squeezed his mother's hand tighter beside her, his eyes widening in panic. "No one is alone in this," Joko continued, voice strong despite the quiver. "Our community has managed through worse. We will come together. We must prepare." "How?" someone yelled from the back, shaky and desperate. "What can we even do?" Dewey jumped in, her own fear igniting her determination. "We'll form committees. Safety checks, food rations, communication plans. We can't let this break us." "But what if it's too late?" came a voice, laced with doubt. The uncertainty hung thick, a cloud threatening to choke the air. Sarah could feel her own breaths quickening. She stepped forward, adrenaline coursing through her. "No, we can't think like that. If we prepare, we stand a chance. Together, we're stronger than any disaster." Her conviction surprised even herself. She had barely been part of this group a day, and yet here she was, stepping into the fray willingly. The community began shifting, eyes igniting with a flicker of resilience. Sardui started, but Sarah interrupted. "We can set up a coordinator for the families. Each household needs to share their resources and skills. If we're transparent, we can survive." As she spoke, she caught the boy's gaze. His frightened face was still, but there was something shining in his eyes, something hopeful. It rooted her to the moment, filled her with steely resolve. The crowd buzzed, new ideas sparking amidst the rising fear that a woman near the front raised her hand. "I'm good at cooking. I can manage a shared kitchen for the families that don't have means." Others quickly joined in, voices upbeat in upward spirals, plans growing bigger than the tremor that threatened them. But Sarah's heart pounded. The looming dread was still there, creeping along the edges of their brave front. What if we're not enough? The thought burrowed deep within her, gnawing at her insides. Suddenly, a loud rumble echoed from afar, a warning echo of nature's fury. Head snapped to the horizon, eyes wide with fear once more. The boy slipped from his mother's grip, grabbing Sarah's hand instead, his small fingers trembling. Is it going to happen? He whispered, genuine terror reflected in his innocent gaze. Sarah knelt down, meeting him eye to eye. We won't let it happen to us. Not today. We face it together, okay? As she spoke those words, she felt a weight shift inside. They had come so far, from her own confusion to a growing bond with these people. It was terrifying yet exhilarating. But just as that flicker of hope ignited, Joko stepped closer, his expression grave. If we want any chance at surviving, we need someone to scout the surrounding areas. We need to know what threats are out there. Scout. Someone echoed, the room going still. The voice of the boy shattered the silence, solidifying the crux of their dilemma. What if you don't come back? As uncertainty washed over them again, Sarah realized they faced not just the chaos of nature, but also the daunting fear of the unknown. Her gut twisted at the thought of what they might uncover. What lay beyond their small enclave of hope? Would the community's strength hold in the wake of a real threat? The shadows of doubt loomed larger than before, a palpable tension settling over them, as they awaited the answer to a question that could transform their fate. Who will go? The question hung heavily in the air, a fire waiting to ignite as they all caught their breath, teetering on the edge of an unknown fate. The silence stretched, thick with uncertainty. Eyes darted among the crowd, searching for anyone to step up. Joko scanned the faces, but no one moved. Fear clutched tightly at everyone's hearts. The boy's hand still squeezed Sarah's, and she could feel the weight of that innocent worry pressing down on her. Maybe I can go, a voice said, breaking the tension. It was a woman, her voice firm despite the tremor beneath it. She stepped forward, shoulders squared as if readying for battle. I know this land. I've walked it all my life. I can help. Are you sure, Maya? Joko asked, his concern obvious. It won't be safe. We don't know what's out there. Maya shook her head, determination etched in every line of her face. Staying here won't keep us safe. Ignorance isn't strength. We need to know what we're up against, and I can do this. The crowd murmured, weighing her resolve. Sarah felt a spark of hope ignite. It was in moments like these, a rush of bravery, when fear wanted to prevail, that true strength emerged. She's right. If we know what's coming, we can prepare. Sarah shouted, her voice rising above the wavering doubts. But what if she doesn't come back? Another voice chimed in, laced with vivid anxiety. Even if we send someone, it's not guaranteed they'll make it back, a man added, crossing his arms tight to his chest. Right now, staying still won't protect us, Sarah countered, her heart racing as she felt the atmosphere shift. We need to be proactive, and Maya is brave enough to take that step. Isn't that what we all want for our families? Hearts weighed by doubt began inching towards resolve. The boy looked up at Sarah, a mixture of fear and admiration in his eyes that pointed to something greater. She knelt down, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead. If Maya goes, she'll have a plan, a path she'll take. We'll be here waiting. Together. A flicker of courage sparkled in the crowd. One by one, people began to step forward. I'll help gather supplies, a man volunteered, glancing grimly at the sky. If she is going out, she needs food, water, something to defend herself. And I can share my maps, chimed in another. I can show her the best trails and potential hiding spots in case of danger. The energy shifted, each contribution working like a domino effect. Hope sparked across faces, illuminating the shadows that had loomed so heavy just minutes ago. The boy turned to his mother, her tight grip loosening as she took a deep breath, leaning into the collective strength forming around them. What happens if she doesn't return? He whispered, the fear crawling back into his voice. Holding his gaze, Sarah felt the tears welling up in her own eyes. Then we'll find a way to honor her, just like we honor those who risk their lives for us. We'll keep moving forward. Joko looked around, a mix of pride and concern tightening his features. Okay, Maya, when you go, stay safe. We need you. I'll come back, she promised, steadfast. As Maya prepared herself, the crowd buzzed with renewed purpose, each person feeling more connected than before. But in the back of Sarah's mind, dread still lingered. A question gnawed at her, clawing its way into the forefront of her thoughts. What if they were pushing their luck? What if sending Maya out only brought back whispers of loss? With uncertainty seeping back into her chest, she turned towards the horizon as the sky darkened, an omen hanging overhead. They were about to test the very limits of their bravery. Could they withstand what lay ahead, even if it tested the depths of their bonds? With heavy hearts shadowed by heavy skies, they waited for the tremors of fate to reveal their next move. Could courage guide them through the potential horrors lurking just beyond the edge of their fragile safety? Maya stepped into the unknown, the air thick with anticipation. She glanced back at the cluster of faces, the somber looks, the worry gleaming in their eyes. They were trusting her, and that felt like a heavy cloak draped over her shoulders. But there was no turning back now. With her pack secured, she followed the narrow path that snaked through the thick trees. Each step felt calculated, the forest alive with sounds that seemed to echo her anxiety. Birds flitted through the branches, while a distant rustling hinted at something larger moving just out of sight. Breathing deeply, she focused on her goal. She needed information to keep her community safe. Yet, as the daylight waned, shadows deepened, twisting the bends of her trail into uncertainty. Her thoughts drifted back to the boy, his innocent eyes piercing through her resolve. She had to make it back. She would. Fear bubbled inside her, but she held it at bay, reminding herself of the purpose that propelled her. As she pressed on, the rustle grew louder, a reminder that she was not alone. A shiver raced down her spine when she heard it, a low growl vibrating through the air. Her heart pounded. She stopped short, ears straining to pinpoint the source. The growl deepened, followed by the unmistakable snap of a twig underfoot. Maya surveyed her surroundings. The underbrush parted slightly as a dark figure emerged, a large creature, sleek and powerful. Her instincts kicked in. It was unlike any animal she had ever seen. Its eyes fixed on her, glowing in the fading light. She held her breath, knowing she needed to move but rooted in fear. This was why she had come, wasn't it? To understand the threats they faced? Yet, the reality felt far more daunting than anything she had prepared for. With sudden clarity, she remembered the maps shared in the meeting. This creature probably wasn't the only danger lurking in the shadows. She had to get back to warn her people, armed with knowledge. Running would only draw attention. Instead, she opted for a careful sidestep, hoping the creature would lose interest. With every beat of her heart, she edged away, her legs anchoring her to the ground, as if each movement could spell disaster. But the creature barely stirred. It was watching, waiting. And in that moment of stillness, everything juxtaposed: fear, curiosity, and the primal urge to survive battled within her. Maya turned and began to make her way back along the path, praying the shadows wouldn't reveal any more surprises. Her mind raced, recalling the conversations from earlier. If they faced this creature, there was a chance they could rally together. If she returned with tales of dangers, they could prepare, they could fight back. The trek back felt eternal, darkness creeping in around her, swallowing the landscape in shadow. As she finally broke through the treeline, her heart leaped. But there was no relief yet. How would they react to her news? Approaching the village, breaths came hard and fast. Her mind focused on the faces she had left, wondering if they would receive her revelations with hope or despair. What if they couldn't handle the truth? Panic threatened to wash over her. She knew they might shatter under this weight. As she stepped into the flickering firelight of the central gathering, eyes filled with expectation met her. Maya, Joko exclaimed, rushing forward. What did you find out? Maya opened her mouth, her voice trembling with the gravity of the moment. But the words hung there, slippery and uncertain. She hesitated, the enormity of what she had witnessed pressing against her chest. And then, from behind her, a low growl echoed in the night, sending cold dread through the crowd. Maya turned slowly and faced the mounting tide of fears she had been trying to escape. Would she be able to prepare them for what lay ahead? Please don't panic, she breathed. Her heart pounded like a drum as she realized just how deep the night was set to plunge them all. The low growl reverberated through the gathering, slicing the air like a knife. Maya's heart raced, and silence enveloped the group. Faces twisted in confusion and fear, eyes darting toward the darkness behind her, scanning for the looming threat. "Maya, what did you see?" Joko pressed, his voice a mix of concern and determination. She could feel the weight of his gaze, expectant and unyielding. I encountered something in the woods," she stammered, each word thick with dread. "It was massive. It might pose a danger to our village." The truth stung her tongue, but she spoke on, desperation filling her voice. "We need to be ready. It was watching me. It wasn't just hunting, it was calculating." Murmurs rippled through the crowd, faces paled under the flickering firelight. She met their frightened eyes, trying to ignite hope amid their rising panic. "We can prepare. If we work together, we're stronger." "Prepare?" An older woman asked, her voice trembling. "What if it comes for us? Then we fight back," Maya declared, emboldened by the thoughts of her people's safety, even though fear gnawed at her resolve. "We can devise a plan. If we can track it, or even see it again, we'll find its weaknesses." Joko stepped closer, locking eyes with her. "But how? You barely escaped tonight." Images flashed in her mind, the creature's eyes, glowing with an unsettling intelligence, the growl that reverberated through her. "I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. I promise." Just as her words settled, the growl returned, closer this time, more menacing. The hairs on the back of her neck stood on end, her instincts screaming to run. They had to act. "Everyone, we need to position guards at the perimeter. Double our watch tonight," Joko commanded, his voice strong. The community nodded, resolve building among them. "Gather weapons and anything sharp. Tools, farming equipment, whatever we can use," Maya added, adrenaline coursing through her. This stirred the crowd, their fear now edged with urgency as they moved quickly, gathering supplies and sharpening tools. With each passing moment, the tension thickened. Maya felt the weight of their trust pressing down on her. Was this truly the beginning of a fight for their safety? She couldn't afford to let them down. As the villagers bustled about, a sense of camaraderie overcame the fear. Together, they shared stories of close encounters, whispered legends of creatures in the dark, turning fears into motivation. Maya took a deep breath and stepped back, watching her community mobilize. An overwhelming sense of pride bloomed inside her. They were united, fierce in the face of danger. She felt a tight knot of determination forming. She needed to learn about the creature, to understand its instincts. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the treeline. The crowd froze, sharp breaths audible in the charged atmosphere. Was it the creature? But no, it was a young boy, one of the villagers, his eyes wide with panic. "Maya," he shouted, breathless. "I saw it. It's coming." At that moment, a chilling realization washed over her. They needed more than weapons. They needed to unveil the truth before it revealed itself to them. "Everyone, prepare. We'll need to be quick and clever. This is only the beginning." As they geared up, Maya's heart raced not just with fear, but with determination. They had awakened something bigger than themselves, and now it was time to confront it together. But as she exchanged glances with the boy, another question tightened the knot in her stomach. What if the creature was only one piece of a much larger puzzle? She took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of resolve within her grow stronger. The stakes were far higher than she ever imagined. Would they be able to face what lurked in the shadows, or were they walking into a trap set far beyond their understanding? The air crackled with electric tension. Maya felt it wrap around her, a tightening grip that filled her with both dread and adrenaline. The boy's fear was palpable, and she had to respond. "Listen," Maya called out, her voice slicing through the mounting panic. "We can't just wait here. We have to strategize and act. Joko, can you lead the guards?" Joko nodded, his face set in grim determination. "We'll split into teams. One group on the north side of the village, another on the west. Maya, you should stay in the center where you'll be safe." "No, I need to stay with you," Maya snapped, desperation rising in her voice. "What if it comes for me again? I'll be more useful if I'm out there." The crowd was murmuring again. Some agreed with her. Others were terrified at the thought of her facing the creature again. But fear wouldn't hold her back. She felt an instinct, a deep-rooted calling to protect them all. "All right." Joko relented, casting a sideways glance at Maya. But you need to be careful. If you see it, run first, attack second. Maya swallowed hard, trying to dismiss her instincts that screamed at her to flee the moment she spotted those glowing eyes again. Deal. They gathered their makeshift weapons, hands trembling as they each clutched their chosen tools: a broken hoe, rusty scythes, and a few sharpened branches. The fire crackled, casting shadows on their faces, each shadow a reminder of what could lurk beyond their sight. As the villagers took their positions, Maya could feel the weight of responsibility bearing down on her. She glanced at the boy who had run back to warn them. His name was Taro, and she felt a rush of protectiveness wash over her. "Stay close to me," she instructed, determination softening her voice. "Right here, Maya," he replied, eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. Watching the villagers scatter into the darkness sent shivers down her spine. Each movement was calculated, orchestrated like a dance of survival. Maya took her place closer to the heart of the village, her hands clammy on the rough wood of her spear. Minutes felt like hours as the night thickened around them. Every rustle of leaves, every whisper of night creatures sent her heart into overdrive. Unable to shake the feeling of being watched, Maya kept glancing over her shoulder, searching the treeline for any sign of the looming danger. Suddenly, a howl echoed through the night, raw and powerful. The sound reverberated off the trees, and she felt the air shift. Fear flashed across the villagers' faces, each of them clutching their weapons tighter, muscles tensed for battle. "It's close," Joko shouted. "Hold your positions." Just then, Taro tugged at her arm. "I don't want to lose you, Maya. Promise you one tea, let it get you." The sincerity in his voice broke something inside her. "I promise, Taro. Just stay behind me." As they braced for whatever was about to emerge from the darkness, Maya's mind raced with what could happen next. Fear, adrenaline, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility collided within her. In that moment, she made a silent vow not just to protect Taro and the villagers, but to confront the truth behind the creature and its intentions. When a shadow broke from the treeline, taller than any tree, she felt the breath catch in her throat. It came for them, slowly, deliberately, dragging with it the weight of unknown terror. What did it want? And why was it hunting them? Maya steeled herself, ready for anything. As it stepped into the firelight, she finally saw its face, fierce, intelligent, and utterly terrifying. And just as she took a breath to shout a warning, she felt something shift in the air again. This was only the first confrontation. What if nothing was as it seemed? What if the danger woven into their lives had far deeper roots? The answers lay ahead, clouded in darkness and waiting to be uncovered. The creature loomed before them, its silhouette razor-sharp against the flickering firelight. Maya's heart raced as she took in its powerful legs, rippling muscles, and the piercing gaze that seemed to slice through her. The villagers stiffened, disbelief mingling with terror. Joko raised his weapon, but it felt futile against this hulking beast. "Stay back," he roared, eyes blazing with fearlessness. Maya's fingers tightened around her spear, trying to summon courage as adrenaline surged through her veins. The air thickened, and Maya's mind whirled. What was this thing? The shivers running down her spine reminded her of the village stories, of creatures meant to terrify, to haunt. But this wasn't a ghost or a fairy tale monster. This was flesh and blood, and it was hungry. With a deep breath, she shouted, "We stand together. We fight for our lives." Her voice rang out, stronger than she felt. The villagers nodded, desperation knitting them together in solidarity. They were scared, but Maya could see the glimmer of resolve in their eyes. The creature let out another bone-chilling howl, echoing through the trees like a challenge. Maya adjusted her stance, feet planted firmly. She had to do this. If it was hunting them, she couldn't let them be victimized any longer. As it lunged forward, darkness swirled around it like a living cloak. Maya's heart hammered. She couldn't let fear paralyze her. "Now," she screamed, urging the villagers to move in unison, a force of bodies crashing against instinctive dread. Suddenly, Joko thrust his scythe toward the creature, striking at its legs. The monster roared in anger, swiping a massive paw towards him. He stumbled back, narrowly avoiding the blow. Maya felt a surge of protectiveness swell in her chest. She couldn't let him stand there alone. "Joko," she called out, rushing to his side. "We need to flank it." Taro stood frozen, shock painting his young features. Maya, we can't. Yes, we can, she shouted back, battling her own wavering faith. We have to fight. Gripping her spear tighter, she moved quickly. Maya darted to the creature's side, spotting a vulnerable spot where the fur thinned. As she approached, her heart screamed at her to run, but the thought of Taro watching fueled her resolve. Now, she yelled, signaling to Joko and the others. They advanced together, each making their move in a desperate bid for survival. The creature was agile, dodging a thrust from Maya and whipping around to meet Joko again. As weapons clashed against the beast's hard skin. Fear shook Maya's core. Would they really manage to drive it back? The thought of escaping flickered in her mind, but she pushed it away. She couldn't abandon them. With every second that passed, the fight grew more frantic. Maya caught a glimpse of Taro from the corner of her eye. He was crying now, fear wrapping around him like chains. A fierce rush of determination coursed through her. She couldn't let this creature haunt them any longer. Fight, she shouted, battling to keep her footing as the creature turned its massive gaze on her, deep and penetrating. We fight for our home, for each other. In that moment, Maya felt the spirit of the village behind her, the weight of their shared history and their dreams for the future, holding her steady. But just as she pressed forward, the creature paused, its eyes glinting with something that startled her. It wasn't entirely a monster. Was it? Before she could process this thought, another howl erupted, but this time it was different, urgent. The creature shook its head as if struggling against something inside. What is wrong with it? Maya whispered, fear mixing with curiosity. As she steadied her spear, she felt an inexplicable pull toward the beast. What if understanding could emerge from the chaos? She looked back at Taro, who met her gaze, eyes wide with fear and hope. Was it possible they could uncover a deeper truth? With heart racing, Maya took a daring step toward the creature, a fragile thread of connection weaving through the air. Each heartbeat drummed in her ears, a tumult of uncertainty and daring clarity in her heart. Would she be brave enough to learn what lay beneath its terrifying facade? Would confronting the creature reveal answers or bind them tighter in chaos? She took a breath, ready to take yet another step. The tension in the air was electric, but Maya felt an unexpected calm wash over her. She wasn't just fighting to defend. No, this was about understanding. Could the creature be more than a predator? As she took that step forward, the villagers paused, weapons raised but with uncertainty in their eyes. Maya, what are you doing? Joko shouted, voice laced with desperation. Trust me, she yelled back, fortifying her resolve. With every step, she projected her intentions, no hostility, just an open heart. The creature's eyes were now fixed on her, both fierce and sad. Maya remembered the boy, Taro, clenching his fists behind her. Stay with me, she whispered, not taking her gaze off the beast. I'm going to try. As she drew nearer, she saw the flicker of confusion within the creature. It was a wild thing, magnificent and terrifying, but there was a depth of pain behind those eyes that resonated deeply within her heart. I know you're scared, she said softly, every word a thread of connection through the chaos. We all are. But we can't let fear divide us. We can find a way to coexist. We can stop this fighting. The creature's growl diminished, morphing into something low and rumbling, almost a whimper. For the first time, Maya felt the solid wall of fear that had built so tightly between them begin to crack. She took her last step forward, now standing just within reach of its powerful frame. Suddenly, without warning, the creature swung its massive head, scrambling backward at the sudden noise of an approaching figure. Dewey emerged from the shadows, breathless and alarmed, but her presence triggered a change. Stop, Maya, Dewey called, trying to push past the worry etched on her face. But with that cry came something else, a sense that they could shift the momentum of this moment. Dewey straightened up, her body firming with resolve. Maya is right. We have to understand why it's here. It's not just a monster, it's a part of our land. There's a reason for everything. With those words, the villagers hesitated, some lowering their weapons. A shared understanding was starting to blossom. It resonated in their eyes, a spark of curiosity filling the void once dominated by fear. Look at this creature, Dewey continued, her voice steady now. It didn't choose this battle, just like we don't want to. We have to let it know we mean no harm. The creature began to lower its body, as if sensing the collective shift among the people. Maya felt her heart quicken. Yes, exactly, she encouraged. It wants to feel safe too. Maya slowly extended her hand, palm out. Every village story flooded through her thoughts, the legends where communication happened beyond words. The creature hesitated, twitching its ears, eyes narrowing as it assessed the unexpected lull in tension. The villagers watched, breaths held, unsure whether to lean into this trust or to abandon what felt like the only safe option, to fight. Please, Maya said softly, feeling a tether between them grow. We can't continue to live in fear. We can learn. We can come together. To everyone's shock, the creature slowly approached Maya, lowering its massive head, the sadness in its gaze washing over her with electric energy. See, Dewey whispered, feeling the ripples of disbelief transform into awe. It senses your heart. With a gentle touch, Maya brushed her fingers lightly across the dense fur of the creature, feeling its warmth. It closed its eyes, and she felt a wave of understanding flow between them, the shared battles that forged fear into courage, the stories of survival intertwined into a tapestry woven from both human and animal lives. Behind her, the villagers began murmuring, each caught in this pivotal moment. Can it really hear us? Taro asked, his voice shaking but filled with wonder. Yes, Maya exclaimed, her own heart swelling with hope. We are finding the truth together. As the creature and Maya connected, she felt every bit of her purpose coalesce. They could face any storm, not just nature, but the traumas that tied them. It was a common fear defeated by the force of empathy, a depth that transformed pain into power. The creature let out a deep sigh, pinning the villagers with its intense gaze. We must work together to protect each other, Joko finally spoke, stepping forward, emotional behind his understanding. Let us heal not just ourselves, but our relationships with everything around us. Together, they began forming a collective dynamism, emboldening one another with fresh tales of understanding, gradually realizing that community could stretch beyond human limits. Every person, every creature, everything matters, Maya said aloud, now feeling supported, her voice ringing in the stillness of the night. The creature nuzzled deeper into her hand, almost in acknowledgement. They were on the brink of something monumental, and just like that, in unison, both the villagers and the creature took that step toward the light, the shared belief that life, in all its chaos, could indeed intertwine to create beauty. Maya smiled, feeling tears of relief stream down her cheeks as the walls between them shattered into dust. In that moment of unity, she knew each challenge ahead would be faced as one. Together, they transformed fear into collective strength. When dawn broke over the horizon, it brought not just light, but hope, a radiant promise of a future they would build, hand in hand, heart in heart. And as the village stood together, the spirit of both warrior and protector enveloped them all, sealing their newfound bond amid the echoes of yesterday. This wasn't just a fight for survival anymore. It was a fight for life, not just as humans, but as part of a larger community intertwined with nature. They had learned the truth. Sometimes, to face the unknown, all you need is to open your heart and extend your hand. Now, I need you to act. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is where transformation happens. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It makes all the difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. I really want to know your thoughts. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see the power of unity and understanding. Don't wait not even one more second. Show your support, and let us grow this community together.